What's up, everybody? This is Peter again for Sports Hot Rumors and Debates. How are you guys? Right now, I usually talk about football, but I wanted to jump into baseball really quick. You know, I'm a diehard Arizona Diamondback fan, and I know I'm a Cardinal and Diamondback fan for both Arizona. I'm from New York, but it's funny. It wasn't meant to be like Arizona for both. It just happened to be that I like the teams, and I've been a Diamondback fan when they came in since '98 because Joe Carter retired, and I had to pick a player. Pick a team, and I wanted to figure, let's start with a new team. The Diamondbacks were brand new, and I'm a loyal guy, right? As you can see, the Cardinals and Diamondbacks are not, the best when it comes to consistency. So anyway, but I wanted to talk about what the Diamondbacks are doing. If any of you guys watch baseball out there, and if you know, right, if this is for you, if you're not a baseball guy, then you don't know what I'm saying. But if you are a baseball guy, this is for you, whether it's a few fans or not. There's so many things going on with the Dodgers and everything that's happening. The Dodgers just keep making moves, right? They got Edwin Diaz now. I would not be surprised. If they go after a guy like Kyle Tucker, or if they make a trade for Skubal in the middle of the year if the Tigers are out of it. I do not be shocked about what they're doing. This is what they do, right? They buy their way throughout the whole damn team. So now, if you're in the West, like for the Diamondbacks, if you look at the last few years, right, the Diamondbacks made the World Series a couple years ago, right, against Texas. Torey Lovullo blew the thing with, Seawald really messed that up. Torey's overcoaching and overmanaging. That year, we just snuck in and we went on a crazy run. So from there, the next 2 years after that, we were right there again. Now, Torey keeps ruining the team. Right? He keeps over-managing, doesn't know what to do. He changes the lineups every 5 seconds. This is a huge thing, right? You can't do shit like this. So then you take a bullpen and you keep messing around. Like when we had Seawald, when he was obviously struggling, he put him in and he blew so many games. He kept using the same guys back-to-back. He kept easily changing the lineup so many times that the Diamondbacks wound up losing so many games that we either took the lead at or our pitching did well. He was just inconsistent, and we wound up missing a few years ago to the Mets by 1 game. That's when we needed them to beat the Braves, and obviously they didn't care about that, so we missed by 1 game. Fast forward to last year, same shit. The Diamondbacks had a chance to be in it. Towards the end, they blew so many games. They went on a bunch of losing streaks, and the biggest reason is we got rid of Strom, right? Brent Strom is one of the best pitching coaches I've ever seen in my life, Stromy. And he really changed the Diamondbacks. Him and Moreno changed the way we are. Now, Hazen, I don't know what the hell he's doing. Why aren't you looking for proper... Right now, all he's been doing is minor league pitching. And it's not working, right? I understand that we re-signed Kelly, which to me is my favorite pitcher on the Diamondbacks. He's the most clutch. I love it, right? That was the one big move. And then you got a guy in Soroka. First, you gave him too much money. Second of all, even if he does well, great, but he's a mid-average guy, most likely in the mid to high 4s in the ERA. And you can't depend on a guy that hasn't pitched a lot. So what's going to end up happening is Erod is going to end up being hurt like he always is. Then you're going to get guys like Soroka who ends up getting hurt. And Merrill Kelly gets hurt a lot lately. So if we lose 3 guys, who is our pitching staff? You got Ryan Nelson. Corbin Burns is already hurt, right? So what the fuck are we going to do with a team like this? It doesn't make sense. And then you got Brandon Pfaadt, who is hit or miss. The key, what I'm saying here is you got to go after a certain amount of players to do that. What players can you go after? I'm not saying, for me, a guy like Framber Valdez would be perfect. He's an ace. As much as I don't like what he did this year with the catcher, he's an ace. And then when you get Corbin Burns back in the middle of the year, you would have a 1-2 punch. Great. That's one. They're talking about getting Bregman. I would love Bregman. But if we have to trade Ketel Marte, it better be like a really great holdback. I'd rather keep Marte. Marte's a switch hitter. He's a friendly contract. And a guy like Bregman, who I really like, you get worried about him with he has a lot of leg problems. Sometimes he misses like 30 to 40 games a year. I would love him on the team, but I don't know if I want him to just replace Marte. I don't know if that could be the big thing. That's that. Then we're talking about hitting. I would go out and get a guy like, if you want to go cheap, you can get a guy like Ozuna. Ozuna would hit 30 home runs easily in Arizona. He can be the right-handed power DH. That would be one. If you want to get a little cheaper and you want to be smart and go younger, go after Harrison Bader. Right? But he would fit perfectly for the Diamondbacks. He did great on Philly. He struggled on some He needs to be in like a little bit like a nice ballpark. He would do well there. You want to even go cheaper, you can get a guy like Miguel Andujar. If you look what he bat with the Reds, it was like 340. He did fantastic. These are like cheap options. You could go the veteran option and get Paul Goldschmidt at first base. Kills lefties. I'm not sure if that's what I'm looking for. We got to get away from Pavin Smith. We need to make solid moves. It's not going to work this way. And the main thing is bullpen. Who's closing? What are we doing? Are we making... Who's closing? You can't just get anybody to just close. Didn't we learn from this for the last few years? What are we going to do? Are we going to go back to like one day we're going to get one pitcher, another day we're going to get another pitcher? Since we lost AJ and then we don't have a good setup guy. So what I'm saying is we're going to wind up being completely inconsistent with the 8th inning and the 7th inning guys. It's just... There's too many things up in the air, and it's almost mid-January, and we have all these holes to fill. You need to get somebody at first base. The guy I wanted who can play first and second was Luis Perez, right? I thought he would be perfect for the Diamondbacks. He would be a leadoff hitter, would be great, or you can put him batting second, and you could put Corbin Carroll batting first with Ketel third. That would be a wonderful, wonderful team. You can get cheap options. There's so many options out there. The other option you can do is get Eugenio Suarez and put him at third and first if you want, right? I'm not opposed to Suarez if we can't get anybody because he just loves Arizona. But we need more. We can't go into this season without an ace, without solid hitters. It's just going to end up being a 80-win season again. So I'm not sure, and I think Hazen is a wonderful GM. But lately, when they lost Strami, it messed up everything. Strami literally fixed. That's why Ryan Thompson went over there, pitched amazing. If you look at what the Diamondbacks did a few years ago with pitchers that you'd be like, what? That's because of who we got. Once we lost the pitching coach, which is, to this day I still don't understand why, everything changed. Right? You see how bad we did last year. Gabby Moreno needs to stay healthy. There's so many things that the Diamondbacks need to do, but it's getting late really fast. So I'll recap. First base. Again, I would like to see a Luis Perez. Ketel Marte. I preferably would like to see him stay because I think to get a switch hitter like Marte is a team-friendly contract. He just fits for the Diamondbacks. I love it. I feel like I don't want to trade Marte to get Bregman. Now, if we get Trey Marte and get a bunch of great pitchers back, then it all depends on the whole, right? Like if we were to go to the Red Sox, for example, and we were going to get, early, I would have loved it, but I don't think they're going to. I think they would try to go for a guy like Tolley, who I do not think is that good, and I think that would just mess us up completely. If you remember, when the Diamondbacks traded Paul Goldschmidt, we wound up getting prospect Carson Kelly and prospect Luke Weaver, who were going to be great, and they were awful. Just awful. Right? So there's a lot of prospect words, so it's got to be sure what we're trading for. Now, remember when we got rid of Segura, we got Ketel Marte. Nobody saw that coming. So like a guy like Perdomo may turn into like Ketel, right? Perdomo's got a better eye than Ketel, but he may turn into where he's just getting 30 home runs, and he may become better and better. And I called this from the beginning. The guy is just fantastic. So we have the talent, but we're not building around it. Okay, anyway, third base. You got Bregman and you got Suarez. But again, I am not opposed to getting a guy like Andujar and something like that if we're putting our money somewhere else, right? If we decided to get like a Valdez, I would rather a Framber Valdez and then an Andujar for like a cheaper option and the hitting with a solid ace, as opposed to getting like Bregman and having no pitching and trusting Eduardo Rodriguez and them to do it. I just don't think that's going to help us. I think even if we score 5, we'll give up 7. So you're talking about inconsistent pitching with inconsistent bullpen, so it doesn't matter who we have hitting at third base. And then if Bregman gets injured, we're really screwed. So I feel like that's not the right move, as much as I love Bregman, right? Then I would say if we're going to go to, if we want power, I said Ozuna. I think that would be a wonderful option. You put Ozuna batting 4th in that lineup, and you keep Carroll, Perdomo, and Ketel and you put Ozuna to clean up, he usually has that every other year. If you look at a couple of years ago, he can easily get you 40 home runs. He's still young enough to do it. That would be fantastic, and that would change everything, right? So then you don't have to get Eugenio Suarez. You can easily go get, I told you, like an Andujar at third base. Something very, very simple. You also can then get Goldie, too, if you wanted to put him at first. And platoon. So there's so many options that you can do there that I would love. Again, like I said, I wouldn't mind a guy like Bader also. Now the bullpen, I know they were talking about Sir Anthony Dominguez. I'm not a fan of that. You know, just looking at it, I don't know how many. I was looking at it yesterday. I don't know how many free agents that are really good out there that we can, kind of mess up. I think it would have to come as a trade with the team, and I'm not even sure who he would trade. Again, that's why I'm super confused. I know they were looking at that Japanese player, I forgot his name, that, was a starter and he became a closer. I'm just confused with what the plan is here. And I feel like this is all hinging on if we're going to trade Ketel Marte. They're waiting, and time is ticking. Pitchers and catchers are due less than a month. And, as much as I hate Trey, you got a plan. You got to know what you want to do. So there's so many things up in the air. Hazen's kind of setting him up for failure at this point. Let me know what you guys think.